But Ruchit Jain, technical analyst at Angel Broking, also joining in. Ruchit, morning. Thanks for taking the time out today. What's it looking like when we talk about the markets out there? Because it's been extremely quiet and slow, tracking more or less the global developments. What are you advising clients to do? What kind of strategy do you have on the index?
Well, good morning, Priyank. Priyank, since last, in fact, one and a half month, you have seen that Nifty is trading in this narrow range. With the beginning of the July month itself, we saw that 8300, 8320 acting as a support and 8650 acting as a resistance. And now, as the time goes on, this range is getting contracted. So probably unless we see a clear-cut directional breakout, I don't think that market should see much momentum on either side. Even short-term movement, we see last 3-4 trading sessions, 8420 has been acting as a good support from where we have seen the decent bounce back coming in. And on the higher side, 8420 acting as a resistance. So 8420 and 8520, basically this 100-point range has been formed in the last 3-4 trading session. So probably right now we are not suggesting any trades in Nifty till we come out of this range. If anyone wants to play for 80-100 points, then once markets come out of this 8420 or 8520 range, then one can trade in the direction of the breakout. But positionally, markets are still stuck in this range of in the broad range of 8300 to 8600, and till Nifty moves out of this range, probably we are going to see more of a stock specific and sector specific trading. Now last week we saw PSU banks showing good momentum, and this week now since after this rupee depreciation, we are seeing that buying interest coming in IT and pharma, and again banking stocks are going down. So probably I think such moves in such sector specific moves would continue unless we see a directional breakout of this entire range which we have seen, which we have formed from last 1.5 months.
Okay, Ruchit, let's take a look at some specific stocks. Then you mentioned IT from that pack. Which are the stocks that are on your radar at the moment? What would you be buying?
Yeah, Priyanka, in IT sector, we are bullish on Infosys and Wipro. We have suggested buying in Wipro to our clients. If we see Wipro, then it's a classic example of how after a downfall, one accumulation phase comes and then again uptrend resumes. So probably after the last quarter results, after the month of March, in the month of April when results were out and they were below expectations, so probably the stock gave a decent downfall, and then for 2 or 3 months it went into a sideways consolidation where accumulation was seen with improving volumes. So now after the accumulation zone is over, again high top high bottom formation has started, and we believe that this stock has good potential on the upside since it has underperformed the other IT stocks in recent 2-3 months. We have placed a target of 620 for short-term traders, and one can buy even at current levels or on slightly on dips with placing stop loss below 565.
Fair. In regard to the way some of the Qs have been panning out, when we talk about the IT majors as well and what we've been tracking there, you've got a little bit of action in that space over the last couple of days. What's your reading of some of the large caps? Do you believe they'll actually hold on to those kind of gains? Just to get a strategy from you on some of the IT names if they're on your radar.
Yeah, I think large cap ITs would hold on in near term. Since even rupee is depreciating, and we have seen that generally there is this inverse correlation between these IT stocks and rupee. So until this trend continues in rupee also, I think this trend would continue in large cap IT stocks, and specifically this high top high bottom formation, which is signs of an uptrend, has been continuing in these stocks. So stocks such as TCS, Infosys, Wipro, we are even HCL Tech to some extent, we are expecting these stocks to continue to outperform the broader market or other sectors in near term.
Okay, let's take a look at some of the banking names as well, Ruchit. We've been tracking, of course, this morning payment licenses being given. We've got some brokerage reports coming saying not likely to impact private sector banks. Do you continue to be more bullish on the private sector at this point? And if so, what are your top picks?
So Priyanka, what we have seen in last few days, probably even PSU banks have performed last week. Now this week IT is performing, pharma is performing, but within all this sector specific performance, we have not seen any of the private sector banks giving huge momentum on the upside, or even the marginal outperformance is not there within these private sector banks. Now bank nifty is stuck in a range and it is now trading around the higher around the resistance levels. So we are expecting a corrective move in private sector banks. Within this private sector banks specifically, we see then Axis Bank is one of the bank which has underperformed even the other stocks in this private sector bank space. So probably now even a rising trend line breakdown has been given in yesterday's trading session. So a corrective action could come in Axis Bank, although we are not bearish on this bank from long-term perspective. So this is not an advice for those who are holding it in the portfolio for long-term. But from short-term trading perspective, I think one corrective action could come in this in Axis Bank, and that's why we have recommended sell call in Axis Bank. We don't have much aggressive targets on the downside, but still around 533 is what we have given a target for this short call, and one can place a stop loss above 565 for this.
All right, let's see how some of these banking counters really play out, especially in regard to what we've seen on the payment bank license last evening as well, where 11 companies have been approved, and we've got that coming in. So you'll have Tech Mahindra, all these companies, and you'll have to see as to what kind of queue we pick up on the private banking sector, and the PSP as well is what we're seeing as far as some of these counters are concerned. So that entire space is going to be once again in action now, and we'll be keeping a close watch out on that. But having said that, Ruchit, before we let you go, one final strategy that you've been working on is Crompton Greaves as well. What's your call on that?
Yeah, bullish on Crompton Greaves from medium to long term perspective. We have very aggressive targets on the upside for Crompton Greaves, but for a short term perspective, we have given a target of 204 rupees. Probably we have seen that after a corrective action, impulsive up moves have started in this one. After the last quarter results were below expectation, the stock did correct it, but this correction was just a part of this impulsive up move. So we are expecting continuation of the uptrend once it gives a breakout of the channel of the triangle which it has been forming since last few days. So keeping a stop loss below 177, short term targets for this is around 204, 205. But I think even for long term investors, this is a good opportunity. One can look to accumulate this stock over here.
All right, thanks for joining us, Ruchit. Let's take a break. When we come back, Rahul Chadda of Mirae Asset Management will be joining us on Market Guru.